So it's my second day of yoga school. And my sleeping schedule still has not adjusted, although it's getting a little bit better. I do need to stop taking naps. Because yeah, I slept for a good portion of the afternoon, and then I couldn't sleep again last night and stayed up till like midnight, and then struggled getting up this morning. But my days start at 5 a.m. when we're supposed to wake up, and then our first yoga session's at 5:30. And there are some strict rules here. The one that I'm struggling with is that there's no coffee. I can handle the no meat. Like, I was prepared for the vegetarian thing. I was prepared for like the intense schedule, but I did not know that we couldn't drink coffee. So that has been the biggest adjustment, honestly, is the no coffee. But the food has been wonderful. It is very like home style Indian food, and it is all vegetarian, of course. And so the first couple of days, I wasn't really that hungry, but it's like I never really felt full, and I'm sure it's because I'm not eating the meat and having it just sit in my stomach for hours and hours and hours. And so like I'm digesting everything I eat very quickly. So today I've been like starving and I've been eating a lot, but breakfasts have been my favorite. I think partially because there's always fresh fruit, and I really enjoy that. But the rest of the food has been delicious. I've had to like push myself to try new things, but I have, and it's been delicious every time I have. So I'm very grateful that I've just eaten it, even though I don't know what it is, and even though I like it's new to me. I just eat it anyway, and it's all been very good. The yoga classes have been really eye-opening for me, and there's a girl here from Germany that is on kind of a similar journey that I'm on. She's also doing Kundalini yoga like I am. She's been doing yoga for about the same amount of time as I have, maybe a little bit longer. But she kind of echoed some of the thoughts that I had, and that, you know, like I did yoga and stuff at home, and I thought I was doing the poses pretty well, but being here and having somebody that like comes and like physically adjusts your positions has really like opened up my eyes as to what I wasn't doing, and how much more there is to like refining the positions, and like the little refinements are so impactful. Like, they make such a huge difference, and I can feel them. And then today, so yesterday he did the yoga class. They did a lot of like shoulder opening, joint opening poses, and today we did a lot of hip opening poses. And he is like, I'm gonna warn you that when we start doing these hip opening poses, a lot of people get really emotional, and so if you need to cry, just cry. You're not gonna be the first one. And I didn't for any of like the hip opening poses, but when we got to some of like the twists and stuff, I like really became overwhelmed, like emotionally, and some old repressed feelings just came up, and I really like kind of had to stop. Kind of had to stop with the pose for a minute, because I just like I just was so overwhelmed. I didn't cry or anything, but I really was like, I don't even really know how to explain it. It was just overwhelmed with emotion, not any emotions in particular, not I don't know. It was just like I could feel that there was a lot of emotions inside of me. It was like I was wringing, like we were doing these twists, and it was like I was wringing out all the emotions out of my body and all of the trauma out of my body. And I did start to feel like some of my old insecurities of the, like, you're not good enough and you're not worthwhile and you can't do it, and like just some of those kinds of like emotions really just came up during the yoga session this morning. So that was a really interesting experience that I wasn't expecting. I've never had that in any of my other yoga classes that I've participated in, and so I don't know what was different about today, other than maybe just like how deep we were opening up our hips and how deep we were like doing these poses and stuff. But it was a very strange sensation. And then we do our hatha yoga in the morning, and then we do what's called pranayama, which is like breathing exercises, breathing and some chanting. And so there's different mantras and stuff that we chant, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. Anyway, and so we do that in the morning. And at some point I'm gonna have with the pranayama, they do like cleansing stuff, but we haven't really started getting into that cleansing stuff yet. But I do have like a neti pot that I will have to use at some point. And then we also have what's called a rubber neti, and this is the thing that I'm like the most worried about. But it's like a rubber tube, a rubber string that you like shove up your nose and then like pull it out through your mouth and like rooter your nose out. We haven't had to do that yet. But I am pretty nervous about it once we do. So I did get one of those as well. So we do that in the morning. And then we have a yoga and anatomy class. Oh, no, we have breakfast. We have breakfast, and then after breakfast I have a yoga and anatomy class, and then I have Kundalini yoga class, and then I have a yoga philosophy class, and then we have lunch, and then we have some self-study time, which is what time it is right now. And then some of the people go to an Ashtanga yoga class. Like you could either do the Ashtanga yoga or Kundalini yoga, and so I'm doing Kundalini yoga. But others are doing the Ashtanga yoga, so I do have a break until about 5. So from like 1:30 in the afternoon till like 5 in the afternoon to do some self-study and just kind of chill. And so, yeah, anyway, so I have been using that time to do some self-study, and read through some of the manuals and books. There's 2 books that I have to read. I don't know that I'm not required to read them, but they are definitely recommended reading. And so I've been trying to read through those this week during that self-study time, and I have been taking naps, which I really need to stop doing. And then after that we have a meditation and yoga nidra class, and then we have dinner, and then it seems like there's one more class, but I can't think of what it is at the moment. So yesterday during our meditation class, we didn't actually do any meditation. We just sort of talked about meditation and what it means and how to do it. Or not really even how to do it, but like that there are multiple methods, and so I'm sure I'll learn more about how to do that over the next few weeks, because it's something that I'm going to have to be able to teach and incorporate into my yoga practices, especially with Kundalini yoga. Kundalini yoga does always include some kind of meditation, or usually include some kind of meditation. And then today we did our first like Kundalini Kriya is what it's called. And so like with other forms of yoga, there are poses, and you kind of go through a flow of different poses from one pose to the next. But with Kriya, or with Kundalini yoga, they have these Kriyas that are like a set order of things. And so like when you're teaching a Kundalini yoga class, you can really like just do a Kriya, and you don't even really have to like plan your lessons that much, because you just do the Kriya as it is prescribed and move on. So what we did today, we did what's called a humming bee pose, I guess. It's not really a pose, but like you hold your ears closed and like hum through your nose basically, and it vibrates your whole head. So you do that for like 5 minutes, and then afterward you like sit silently for like another 5 minutes, just absorbing like the vibrations of what you had just done, and sort of letting your brain stop vibrating, I guess, your head, like your scalp and everything. And then after that, we do a couple other poses that were quite difficult. He went easy on it, like we were supposed to do each of them 6 times, and we only did them 4 times because it was the first time we did it. So he was going easy on us. And then and then you do Shavasana afterward, which is like corpse pose, and you just lay down. You do that for like 10 minutes after you're done. It's supposed to like help clear all your energy channels and cleanse your energy. And I know like I was super like tingly, like my whole body was super tingly after doing it today. And I did like have a really like spike in energy afterward. Like I felt great. I like had a clear mind. I was able to read quite clearly. Sometimes when I try to read, my mind wanders, or I find it difficult to like focus on the words. I'm sure it's bad diet, bad health, but I had a totally clear mind. I felt great. I had a lot of energy, and I was able to like focus and read and not feel overwhelmed, and not feel like my mind was wandering. I didn't have to read paragraphs over and over and over again, which is something that I usually have to do when I'm reading. So, I could definitely tell, like, I could definitely feel the effect of it. And Kundalini yoga, oftentimes you're supposed to do the poses that are like the Kriyas like several times in a row in order to really get the benefit of them. I'm not sure that, like, given this is a class and we're supposed to be learning all the different Kriyas, that's something that we're going to be doing. But normally when you're just doing your practice yourself, you would do the same Kriya for an extended period of time to really have it like be effective in your body. So this is definitely a Kriya that I want to incorporate into my own personal practice once I'm done with this training, just because of how well I felt afterward and the energy that I had. And I don't know, maybe all the other ones will be that way. This isn't the first time I've done Kundalini yoga, and yet it is slightly different than the Kundalini yoga I have done. Yogi Bhajan, who is cited for bringing Kundalini to the Western world and has kind of created this whole like almost cult-like following. He's kind of I don't know, they kind of make fun of him here. Like he's not well respected in India. And so it is interesting that the different perspective of like the Kundalini yoga that I've been doing and have been used to, that is all as per the teachings of Yogi Bhajan. And then to come here and do Kundalini yoga and have him kind of just like make fun of the things that he was doing. And the girl from Germany, the same thing. The Kundalini yoga she knows is all per the teachings of Yogi Bhajan. So we have a very similar perspective, and it's been pretty interesting to like get this other take on the more traditional style of Kundalini yoga. So anyway, that's been my day. It is pretty packed. Like, other than that kind of break right after lunch until my meditation sessions, my days start at 5 and goes till 8:30 when at dinner, or 8:30 and like 9ish, and then it's lights out and bedtime, and do it all again tomorrow. And just like on the Camino, I've been washing my clothes, and so like I get done with lunch, and like kind of the first thing I do is wash my clothes and get them on the line, just so that I can get dried, because I only have a couple of changes of clothes, and so I'm gonna have to wash my clothes almost every day, just like I was doing on the Camino. It's interesting being on the Camino and then being here. You know, my old life was it was all about work, and like I did everything for work, and so I would hurry and do the dishes, like put the dishes in the dishwasher so I could get back to work, or I'd hurry and take my clothes up to the, put them in the washer and dryer or whatever so that I could get back to work. Where here, like my whole day, and like on the Camino, the same, my whole day has been focused on like taking care of myself, and like making sure that like all I'm focused on is making sure my clothes are washed and dried, and that I'm clean and I am fed, and like that's really been my only focus the whole time I've been here in Europe, or was in Europe, and then now here in India. And it really has like shifted how I see like daily living, and how like everything I did before was for somebody else, was for an external party, and now everything I'm doing is for me and to take care of me. And like all of my daily activities are just all about my own like wellness, and my basic wellness at that, like my basic needs, like my hygiene and my clothing and my food. And it's not even about like the hobbies or doing things that I love. It's all about just like taking care of my basic needs. And so it has really given me a different perspective, and being here really has like really made me appreciate Western luxuries. There's, in the Kundalini yoga book that I was reading, he was talking about how being addicted to materialism and our luxuries is worse than like a alcohol or drug addiction, and that like we cannot pull ourselves away from it, and like all we do is want more and more and more and more and more. And I absolutely agree with that. That was exactly where I was, is that like I would just, in order to try to like satisfy my needs, I would just buy more things, and it never did satisfy it. And so then I would buy more things, and then it wouldn't satisfy it, and then I would buy more things. And so I really do believe that it is kind of an addiction. And so it has been nice to be here and to like have a completely different perspective, although I am looking forward to going back and having like some Western luxuries again. And I have like, I have everything that I need. I have like a toilet. It's not just like a hole in the floor, like a lot of places here, including the airport. So, I do have like a Western style toilet, and I do have a shower like with running water, and it's not like I'm really like living in slums or anything here. But it is definitely not as nice as what I'm used to. And I haven't really gone out and wandered the city much yet, or at all yet. I've only been at the yoga school. And so I do hope to at least kind of wander around and maybe go to the market one day and just to see what it's like. We have school every day except Sunday, and so they do plan like excursions on Sunday, and so but they don't tell us what the excursion is until the day before. So and I'm sure that's partly because of the weather. So we'll see what we do this coming Sunday, but other than that, like 6 days a week we have class. Yeah, but it has been a really good experience. I've really loved the philosophy classes. It's like everything that I have been kind of discovering on my own, just in my own philosophy and through my own personal experiences, and just kind of through my own experiences. It's like he's saying them out loud, and so it's been really validating and reaffirming to me that everything that I've been thinking and feeling for the last few years, it's not just me, that this is really like a philosophy of life, or the yoga philosophies. And same with like the meditation sessions, very similar. They're very philosophical. And again, he speaks to all the things that I've been doing, like discovering on my own, and all of the like, just how to be in the world, and how to be present, and like we can't change other people. You can't go through life hoping, like, and not to like talk about my marriage or anything, but I often would I would struggle in my marriage, and I'd be like, oh, if only he would do this one thing, then our marriage would be fine. But I can't make him do that one thing. And so if I can't accept who he is right now in the moment, then that's where I came to. Like, I can't force him to understand. I can't force him to see the world from my perspective. In fact, it will never happen. His experiences and his perspective and his priorities are different than mine. And so for me to try to expect, like, oh, if he could only understand this one thing, that was where I was failing, and like that was where I was wrong. I can't expect that of him. If I can't accept the relationship as it is, then it's not the right relationship for me. And it took me many years to kind of figure that out, but that is a huge part of the philosophy here. Like, you can only impact you. You are the only thing that you can change. And you need to put your own mask on first, and like focus on yourself, and like take care of yourself. And these are just like some of the high level principles that we've been talking about. But I've absolutely loved all of the philosophy and meditation courses or classes so far. I mean, there's only been 2, but they have been very, very validating. It's not that I'm even learning anything new. It's just reaffirming everything that I have spent the last couple of years like figuring out on my own. So it has been really nice. And then like the anatomy and physiology classes, it's interesting. It's interesting that now with science at like Western science and yoga are sort of coming together, and we're now starting to prove all of these practices that the yogis have been doing for centuries, even though prior to the 70s, yoga was kind of seen as like witchcraft or a religion or mysticism, and now like science is actually coming out and be like, okay, yeah, no, there's actually a lot of truth to what's happening here, and like these energies and energy connections. And now we actually have instruments that are able to measure a lot of the things that the yogis are talking about. So it's been really interesting to have that connection with the Western science and the Western world, and these really old ancient traditions and ancient wisdom that has always been here in India. So that's kind of my day. I will try to, like, if I go out and wander the market, I will try to take my camera and like show Rishikesh.